Welcome to the Dynamite Rundown here live July 3rd, 2026. It was a great show this week. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Sugarcoating it is a good thing. So I'm not going to tear it down this week. Dynamite was a good show. Very happy with the way Dynamite turned out this week. Following Forbidden Door. Did not watch Forbidden Door. I was watching other things. I don't like paying pay-per-view money anymore, guys. I'm sorry. It's going to have to be a very big match for me to buy an AEW pay-per-view or a pay-per-view in general or anything on demand. There's just too many other options, and I'll just wait for it to be free. If there's a match I need to see, I'll go see it. I'll see it eventually. So I heard it was a banger. Heard Forbidden Door was awesome. It's just not for me. Forbidden Door is not a show for me. It's just meaningless matches, just kickouts, repeat, all that stuff. But this show, Dynamite, July 1st, was for me. It had everything that you wanted. It had story from top to bottom. It had a beginning, which was a title match. But the beginning started before that. It was a setup for Kenny Omega and MJF because we all knew that's where it was going to go. It had the beginning. It had the match. It had the middle part where Kenny Omega is talking with his best friends to see if he's going to accept this MJF challenge and the stipulation. And it had an end, which is Kenny Omega eventually accepting the challenge to face MJF at Beach Break for the World Heavyweight Championship. And if he loses, he goes down with Cody. He goes down with Hangman as another person that can never, ever, ever compete for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship again. So again, complete show, beginning, middle, and end. We had a clear direction of Dynamite this week. For some reason, they put together probably the best Dynamite that I've seen in over 2 years. Most likely. I know that the sickos will say last week was awesome because there was 20 matches and there were bangers and this and that. No, this one had story. It had matches. It had long matches, but they had at least one story throughout the entire show. So we'll touch on that. We'll touch up on Andrade and his babyface turn. We'll touch on Jay White and his return and his promo and what his mission is and what they're going to do. We've got a lot to talk about today. So pretty much excited for everybody to be here today on this wonderful Friday. This is No Holds Barred Wrestling Channel. This show, the Dynamite Rundown, can only be seen live every Friday here on the No Holds Barred Wrestling Channel, nowhere else, and streaming live on X as well. So, man, where do I start? Let's start with the beginning. There was an opening segment of right after Forbidden Door, and they do this a lot. I actually did enjoy this segment, although it was kind of like too cinematic. They thought they were in a play, which to me, I don't care. It was pretty cool. I enjoyed it. Will Ospreay comes out all bloodied in the background. Renee Paquette interviews him. How does it feel to win the Owen? You know, it's the best, yada, yada, yada. He gives this whole statement about how he win the Owen and he's going to do this and do that. Alex Windsor is there, his wife, of course. Then Jon Moxley interrupts Renee Paquette. And they have this kind of awkward interaction and she leaves and Will Ospreay is then given a big pep talk by Jon Moxley, how I'm proud of you, I'm praising you, here's a patch, join the Death Riders, make it official. It's a lot longer than that. They talk for a very long time. But it was pretty much, I'm proud of you, and look at where we are from where we were. And then again, a fluid segment. They end their conversation. Will Ospreay still has the patch, the Death Rider patch, and he runs into Kenny Omega. He gives him pretty much the same, I'm so proud of you. You won the Owen, but watch out what you're doing with those guys. I've been in dark places before. Will Ospreay snaps at him, you're not my father, yada, yada, yada. Kenny Omega, hey man, you're still my friend. I'm just looking out for you. Giving him the whole little, I'm the older vet, just giving you a good old chat about joining the wrong group. Because, you know, the Death Riders were heels for a very long time. Are they heels? I don't know what they are, to be honest. But we're not talking about what they are right now. We're talking about this segment in particular. So Ospreay kind of blows off Kenny, but they kind of end in a good way of like, I'm cheering for you. I'm rooting for you. Good times all around. But we're not done. We're not done. We have another cameo. So we had Renee Paquette and Ospreay that led in when Alex Windsor that led into Windsor leaving, Renee Paquette leaving, enter Jon Moxley. Then Jon Moxley leaves, enter Kenny Omega. This time Kenny Omega stays and enter MJF, the World Heavyweight Champion. He goes off about this and that, and he's the big Hebrew, and Kenny Omega pretty much says, hey, I'm coming for you. MJF disregards. Gets right in Ospreay's face and says, I'll see you in Wembley, bruv. And pretty much ends the segment. Pretty much brushing off Kenny Omega, which sets up the story of Dynamite. I love it so far. Nothing to complain about. Was it a little bit cinematic? Was it a little bit High School Musical? Sure, of course it was, but it's pro wrestling. That's how these things go. I thought it was great. Set up what we're going to see next. So we get the first match of the night. You know when there's a World Heavyweight Championship match, it's always the first match of the night, as it should be. Nothing annoys me more in a wrestling show. Well, there's a lot of things that annoy me in a wrestling show, but one of my biggest pet peeves are when they have a World Heavyweight Championship match and Raw ends at 11, Raw ends at 10, Dynamite ends at 10, whatever the case may be. Whenever the show ends, the guys come out with 5 minutes to go, and you know it's not going to be a good finish. It's going to be a funky finish. It's going to suck. Dynamite does it where they open the show with the title match, so you don't know how long it's going to go. This is my biggest complaint about ESPN pay-per-views, by the way, because they do the first hour on ESPN 1 or 2, whatever it is, and they have 2 matches, so you know they're both going 30 minutes, which they always do. You know when the end of the second match is going to happen because, it's time to switch over to ESPN Unlimited. Let's wrap this button up. So when it comes down to if the show starts at 1:58 p.m., you know the match is about to finish because they got to get to ESPN Unlimited. So I like the way that AEW always starts a show with a title match if they have a title match. And it gives them a full hour. It could go to a draw, which we've seen. It could go 10 minutes. This one went about 18, 22 minutes, somewhere in that range, which it deserved it. This was a good match. It was brutal, had a lot of weapons, had tables, had chairs, had near falls. MJF kicked out of the J Driller for the first time ever, which they heavily said he's never kicked out of the J Driller. Well, he did. Brisco did a bunch of froggy bows, like a bunch. MJF wasn't bleeding, but he was all bloodied up because Mark Brisco got opened up early, which it was the only blood of the show. Did it need it? Probably not, but we got it. And it didn't make the match better. Honestly, it kind of enhanced this match for MJF. He looked beat up after this show because of all the blood and stuff from Mark Brisco. But in the end, MJF hits the Heat Seeker, retains the AEW World Championship. He beats up Mark Brisco, gets the diamond ring out, beats him in the head some more. Security comes out. MJF runs security off, or the doctor staff. I don't know if it was security. It was the medical staff. Runs them off. Then Kenny Omega comes in for the save. And then that's when everything gets set up. Kenny Omega challenges MJF to have a match tonight for the AEW World Championship after MJF just went on this 22-minute hell of a match with Mark Brisco. What do we think the heel's going to say, Kenny? What do we think the heel's going to do? Oh, yeah, I'll accept. No. Of course, he does not accept. MJF says, no match. You don't deserve it. I just wrestled. Definitely not going to wrestle twice here. Calls LA a S show. I'm not going to say that bad word. But MJF kind of changes his mind. And he offers up a match next week here in Clearwater, Florida, which I actually looked up ticket prices. I might be going to Beach Break in Clearwater, Florida, because of this particular match that just got set up. I'm kind of interested, but tickets right now are looking $58 for the cheapest one And I'm not paying $58, $60 to sit outside in Clearwater, Florida in July. You're crazy. I believe this is an outside venue, and it's going to be I live here in Florida, and it's a billion degrees, and I don't see a situation where I'd like to sit outside and watch wrestling, but I might. We'll see. It's only about 45 minutes away. We'll see. If ticket prices fall down, your boy might be there. But anyway, so next week, MJF challenges Kenny Omega for the World Championship. But if he loses, if Kenny Omega cannot beat MJF, he can never challenge for the championship ever again. And Kenny Omega is left in the ring thinking about what he's going to do next. Good segment. Love it. Dude, Dynamite is on fire this week. On fire. Great show. Dynamite was better than Raw this week. I'll say it again. Dynamite was better than Raw this week. I mean, it's true. But the next segment, we had Andrade El Idolo. He tried to cut a promo. We need this guy not to talk. He's a great wrestler, great in-ring competitor. I believe he could be a top guy. He's one of the best. Stop giving him the microphone. Stop letting him be. He's not a talker. He can't talk. It's okay. Some guys can't talk. But Andrade declares that he's officially out of the Don Callis family, and he wants the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. And just like this is where I'm going to complain a little bit, because you have this guy break free from the Don Callis family, which everyone needs to do. Don Callis family could be good if it was limited people, but there's too many. We've already discussed this. I'm not going down that road again. But Don Callis immediately beats the crap out of your newly very popular babyface. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. They sent out Brian Cage, Lance Archer. I can't remember the third Don Callis member. I apologize for that. But they sent out two guys that can afford to get beat up with Brian Cage and Lance Archer. They're nobodies. They're jobbers. They're just big muscle monster guys that can get beat up. I'm like, oh, they sent out the flunkies. You don't see Okada. You don't see Kyle Fletcher. You don't see Kevin Knight. Or maybe Kevin Knight was there. I don't know. There was a third guy. And I'm thinking, oh, Andrade is going to get beat up and do the typical babyface thing and run them off and get a fan reaction and go, oh, crap, look at this new babyface we could all get behind, as he just took out the three flunkies from the jobber team of the Don Callis family. It wasn't Kyle Fletcher. It wasn't Okada. It was the jobbers of the group. That's why you have the jobbers of the group. That's why everyone needs a Wheeler Yuta. Everyone needs a Road Dogg Jesse James who could just take pins. No, they just beat up Andrade flat, leave him for dead. Any kind of momentum you had with Andrade, or you think you had with Andrade, done. In my eyes, done. He can't even beat up the losers of a loser group. I kept on waiting for the turnaround. Oh, Andrade, this is where he gets the upper hand. This is where he double clotheslines these guys. This is where he does the finisher no. Just got his ass beat. They don't know how to build baby faces. They don't know how to build stars. They don't know how to execute on turns like this. They just don't know how to do it. And every segment when the baby face just gets beat up by the heel, every single segment, it gets tiring. Sometimes we need a good baby face. And Andrade could do that. And I think it would have been really, really beneficial if he got over on these guys after newly turning babyface. He needed this, but he got his ass beat. I don't like it. And I think Kevin Knight was out there because the next match, it set up Kevin Knight versus Lio Rush in a TNT championship match. And I've never seen Lio Rush wrestle under this new gimmick. I've seen the gimmick. We've all seen the gimmick on Twitter, on Blue Sky, on Instagram, wherever you've seen him. So I decided to give this match a shot. And I'm thinking, okay, this should be like 5 minutes. Lio Rush can get a couple comedy spots in. He could do his little prance around the ring. He could do his little scary gimmick. Like, he could do that stuff, but Kevin Knight could put him away in about 5 minutes. I'm going to ask you this and comment here below if you're watching. Do you guys legitimately think that Kevin Knight looks good for going 15, 20 minutes with Lio Rush? I need these comments because I need to understand. I'm trying to understand I love the look. Lio Rush's gimmick is new, it's fresh, it's cool, it's unique. I'm not hating on it. Kevin Knight, you're trying to build as a new heel that just should be a top card guy. He's going so long with Lio Rush in a TNT championship match. For which I don't know how Lio Rush got this match, how he qualified for this match, but he's there. And they had a long match. Kevin Knight should have beat him in 5 minutes. Trying to get Kevin Knight up. We're trying to build stars. Lio Rush wouldn't have been affected or wouldn't have been hurt because, let's be honest, he's where he's at. He's at his level. There's nowhere for Lio Rush to go. He's hit his peak. I think Lio Rush is great. I think what he does is great. I think Lio Rush's gimmick is new. I think it's cool. I think there's a space for it in wrestling. I'm a big fan of what he's doing. But in no way, in shape, or form should he be going 15 minutes with your TNT champion, newly turned heel, in the biggest heel faction, even though half of them are jobbers. He should be beating this guy in 5 minutes. But he beat him. It's fine. After the match, Darby Allin comes out, confronts Kevin Knight, and just pretty much says, "You asked for this, buddy." Kevin Knight wants to accept the challenge for the TNT Championship. Don Callis says no. And then Darby Allin just smiles and said, "You asked for this." Nothing was done, setting up Darby Allin versus Kevin Knight for the TNT Championship. Again, guys, I know that Darby Allin can't always be at the top for the championship, but you elevate him for a month and you send him back down. Don't you think he should be feuding with guys like, I don't know. I mean, Kevin Knight, you want to be a big star. I understand it, but he was just a champion. Now he's elevated back down to the mid-card championship. It just doesn't make sense, but I'm excited for the match. I guess. Next segment, another should have been squash match, but I think this one went through a television commercial break. Jon Moxley and Will Ospreay tag team versus The Swirl, who is Lee Johnson and Blake Christian with Jay Lethal. This match went forever. This should have been another squash. Should have been 2 minutes. It should have been get in there. Moxley does his thing. Ospreay does his thing. Dun, dun, dun. Out. Angle. Then they could do an angle. No, they just went a long time and had a long match. And it went a very long time. And you know what I was thinking? I'm not a tag team wrestling fan. Not a tag team wrestling fan whatsoever. This would be a good tag team. Because tag team only works in my eyes, and I know that some of you guys will think differently. When two stars come together, or two odd couples come together, and they become a tag team. Mankind, The Rock, Rock and Sock, Kane and Taker, Brothers of Destruction, X-Pac and Kane. That dynamic was fun. RVD, when he tag teamed with other members on the roster, that was always fun. Riddle and Orton. The list can go on. And if you think about AEW, one of the best tag teams or best tag team stories they ever had was Hangman Page and Kenny Omega when they were tag team champions. That's been back when I used to watch it regularly. I watch it regularly now, but that's back when it was appointment television, when we had to be there at 8 p.m. to watch Dynamite because it was that good back then. That's the kind of tag team I got from Jon Moxley and Will Ospreay. I think that this would be a good story for them to lead into maybe past Wembley, and then maybe we get another match between the two. But this time it's different. Maybe Ospreay is the heel and Moxley's the baby face. I don't know. But I like the direction. I can see it. I don't know where it's going, but I can see it. Next segment, Mercedes Moné's outside on the beach or on a marina, on a dock, talking about how she's the best champion everywhere she goes. Cool. Segment 6, we get another outside segment. This time, we get Jericho and Ciampa. They brawl outside. At one point, Jericho gets a cardboard box thrown at him. This is a big program. I think that Ciampa needs to go over. I'm excited for the match. It's going to happen at Beach Break. But I don't think the fans care, and I think that's why they did it outside. Because they had such a big break apart 2 weeks ago on Dynamite, and it was crickets. Nobody cared. So they had this one outside, so they couldn't have the crickets. But I wonder if they would have been cricketed inside. I wonder if people actually truly care about Jericho in 2020. I don't think it's Ciampa. I think if it was Ciampa versus insert Jay White, I'm just saying Jay White's name because he's next on the list. But if it was Ciampa versus name someone here, not Jericho, we'd be excited. I think the Jericho experiment is almost over. He had a great Hall of Fame career, my favorite wrestler of all time. But I'm here to admit the run is over, brother. And I don't think people care about you anymore in 2026. But guns up. Next, baby, because we got Jay White and a brand new hand gesture AEW's heavily trying to get over. Has this been a thing for a while? Because, man, they did it 10,000 times. It's good for them. They need to get things over. Crowds are dead. They need to get fan involvement. If people are going to be doing this when Jay White comes out and the Gun Club comes out, I'm for it, man. I thought this was great. But again, what is he? Is he babyface? Is he heel? He's calling out Will Ospreay, the biggest babyface in the company, calling him a fraud, calling out the dogs who are heels. Again, what's the direction with Jay White? Is he going to be a babyface? Is he going to be a heel? And who was that random dude with the Gun Club? Who was that guy? Listen, I don't know who the Collision Cowboys are. I don't watch Collision. Just like Brock Lesnar said on Raw, I don't watch that show. I don't know what goes on over there on Collision. Who is this new guy? I knew of Austin and the Guns. I knew of Colton and Austin. I know the Guns. They're great. I know of the dude with the hair. I can't remember his name right now. You guys are going to be killing me. He's the OG member of the Bullet Club Gold or the Gang Bang Club or whatever the hell they call it. Bang Bang Club. Who's the fourth guy? Wait, well, Jay White's the fourth. Who's the fifth guy? Who is that guy? He had the glasses. Who was that guy? Good for him, though. He's part of the Bullet Club Gold, the Bang Bang Club, too. They're doing this. I don't know who that guy is yet, but he's part of it. He's in there. I thought it was just the Guns. Why can't I think of this homie's name? He's really good. I don't know why I can't think of he left. He came back and had a new look. No one remembered who he was. Who was it? Let's see. I'm gonna Google it real quick. Bang Bang Gang Club members. Can't believe I can't think of this guy's name. And when I see it, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I knew that. Yeah. Juice Robinson. Juice Robinson. Yeah. Duh. Juice. Yeah. Okay, this is Ace Austin. Can't tell you I heard of Ace Austin. I've seen him. I saw him on Wednesday or yesterday when I watched it. Didn't know about him. Cool. Welcome to the club, Ace. But I'm glad they're back. I'm really glad they're back. That was a good promo. I know people don't like Jay White promos because they're long and drawn out, but this one was to the point. I joked about what is his direction. I know his direction. His direction right now is the dogs. But is he going to be a babyface heel moving forward? Is he going to be a tag team moving forward? You know, the best tag team match I've seen AEW in my entire life was on Collision itself, and it was FTR versus Jay White and Juice Robinson. That match was phenomenal. I was back in the CM Punk era. That's back when Collision actually mattered and had stories, where Collision was actually watchable, and they had the best tag team match in AEW history. Are they just going to be a tag team? Or is Jay White going to be elevated to the main event? And if so, he's got to be babyface. There's too many heels. There's too many heels, man. Segment 8, survival of the fittest. If you think I sat down to watch Hikaru Shida, Chris Statlander, Meika, Queen Aminata, Paris Phone, and Harley Cameron, you have another. You're just crazy if you thought I was going to watch this match. You're insane if you thought I gave a crap about Harley Cameron, Persephone, Queen Aminata, Meika, Chris Statlander, and Hikaru Shida. You're crazy. You're insane. But apparently this was like an elimination match. Shida is now the new TBS World Champion. She's not good. I don't care. That's it. That's my analysis on that. Like, I don't care. I zero care. She does not good. I don't know why they continue to push her. I don't know why Athena is just a forever ROH champion and she's not on AEW television. I don't know where Maya World is going to go. I don't know if Tony knows any of these answers either. So, but the main event segment, we have Kenny Omega's final decision, and they were playing the music, and then we cut back to Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega in the back, and Ospreay just to the camera. Can we cut the music? Hoping that Tony Khan could hear him and cut the music so they can have a conversation. And, are you sure you're going to accept this? And Kenny gives the whole speech. And I listen, the direction of Kenny Omega is there. And he's right. Might be his last chance. He's all in. This is all it. Like, this is it for him. He's 40 something years old. He understands this is his last ride. He's going to accept the challenge. And he has to let Will Ospreay know that he is still the best bout machine, and he's going to do it. And he's going to face him at Wembley. They're going to be facing each other off at Wembley. We've been saying this, at least I've been saying this, and I know other creators in the community have been saying this for a while. They really, really messed this up. Like, they really just muddied all of this up. What if we're looking at this wrong? What if it's not one-on-one? What if it's not Will Ospreay versus MJF? What if it's not Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega? What if it's a triple threat? I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying, but what do we do with MJF? Because in my eyes, I think it's going to be Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay for the World Heavyweight Championship in Wembley. That's what I think we're going to get, which is the wrong move. It's completely idiotic. It's like having Hulk Hogan on your roster when he's not, I'm not saying Kenny is past his prime, but he's not involved in the story. The story should have been your top heel versus your top babyface on your top show, because that's the biggest match you have. You're not WWE. You can't just hold off. You need to do things now and have some kind of sense of urgency. If you would have had MJF never lose to Darby Allin and him continue his reign of being the champion and on top and nobody could beat him, and then you have Will Ospreay come back from his injury against all odds, wins the Owen, never lost to Moxley, never lost to whoever. MJF never lost to Darby, never lost to Kevin Knight. And you have two guys on a collision course to Wembley Stadium, your biggest show of the year. You had it right there. And you're deciding to pivot and go Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay because in your eyes, that's the match we still want to see. Yeah, maybe 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, definitely 5 years ago, but not in 2026. The match we want to see is Will Ospreay and MJF at Wembley. And I don't think we're going to get it. I think at Beach Break, I think Kenny Omega wins the championship. And I think we have, in Tony Khan's mind, the biggest match they have, which is Kenny Omega, his biggest star he's ever had in his mind. We all know it's CM Punk, but in his mind, it's Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay, the top babyface, which that's not a deny. He is. He's the top babyface in that company. But what you're doing is you're doing top babyface versus top babyface legend at Wembley when it should be top heel versus top babyface. It's simple as that. But as Tony Khan does, he muddies the water as usual, and we're going to get some sort of mess. But I'm not going to sit here and complain about it too much because this show was good. Dynamite was good this week. I'm actually looking forward to see what happens next week in Clearwater, Beach Break. Will I be there? I don't know. Do I want to spend $58 and then drive down to Clearwater Beach and sit outside and be hot and miserable with a bunch of sickos, with a bunch of you people? You think I want to do that? I don't think I'm going to do it, especially on a school night. Well, summer, but I work the next day. I don't know. We'll see. But I'll let you know. And I will report about it next week if I do show up. So keep that in mind. Keep watching. I appreciate everybody watching right now. There's 9 of you right now still with me. So hit that like button, subscribe. Make sure you come back next week. Bobby Melendez, he's going to go live with his WCW Nitro review. We have the No Holds Barred show on Saturday where we're going to talk about WrestleMania 12 this Saturday. And then, more importantly, the Real Talk Wrestling show with myself, El Ginger Americano, Miami Clutch PE, every single Thursday, 6:30 p.m. We talk all wrestling, all topics. Last night, we had a banger show. We talked about Jey Uso. We talked about Sami Zayn. We talked about Roman Reigns and that whole situation. WWE. If you're into WWE, we talked about that heavily on that show. A little bit of NXT. If you're into Dynamite, you come here. So I appreciate you guys. I'll see you next week. Peace out.